Hello, my little wordlings. Today we're going to react to two videos about books. What else? Or literary videos, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I figured I would do two this time because they're pretty short. And I just wanted to do something with you guys today. So the first one is by a channel called Babylon Bee, and it's called The Most Hilarious One-Line Summaries of Classic Novels. Okay, let's take a look. Hopefully this time I will remember to pause if I have something to say, because obviously with whatever I'm using, you guys can't hear me when I talk over a video. Maybe it's better that way.
Even funny.
Okay, you have this story. It's a sad story.
It's a sad story.
Do you
Is
want
that
to
the
tell
only
it?
one you read?
No, I've read like 3.
You have?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
All right, you had a really sweet one about your father. You shared a list of your dad had this list of. He wrote like this list of summations of movies in like a sentence.
No, they were books.
Oh, books. That's right, books, not movies.
He's like, I only saw the movies.
Yeah, so they're like no, yeah. So then he wrote like a 1-sentence summary of every book that he read.
Yeah, and he read like 73 novels.
And he's a funny guy.
He's funny. Yeah, because he had MS, so he, towards the end of his life couldn't do much. So the only thing he could do was read. And so he made like a list of all the classics, and he read like 73 of the best classics. And then he wrote like one funny line synopsis of each.
Crime and Punishment.
Absolute legend. If only we could think to do these kind of things.
Yeah, what's that one?
Russian decay among peasants, rags, alcohol, and axe murdering. I don't know how accurate that is. I've never read Crime and Punishment, but
pretty accurate.
Makes it sound good.
Don Quixote, employer-employee relationship tested by adventures.
Try to find Anna Karenina if you can. Anna Karenina.
I might have passed it. Let me see.
There are a couple where he hated the book, and the line is something like, I just can't, I don't know how they finished
I don't even know how to read this. Be careful what you wish Iberatskia for Ilovich.
Jesus Christ. Okay. No one can describe Anna Karenina in anything but those words now.
Yeah, whatever. There's no rules. I don't care.
Then he did Shakespeare too. He read all the Shakespeare plays twice.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty smart guy.
Hunchback of Notre Dame. Don't bring enchanted goats that can count to 15th century Paris. Pride and Prejudice.
Probably shouldn't bring them anywhere.
Zapatero. ¿Qué opina usted del gobierno de Zapatero? Pues igual que yo.
Too bad there's no glass ceilings for Elizabeth to break. I love this guy.
These are good reading style.
Thank you. The Brothers Karamazov. Drunks, Death, and Decay. Typical Russian novel fare.
I tried to read that one. That's a hard one.
Too many names.
Yeah, everyone has like 5 names, and they're really complicated names.
Frankenstein. Monster fails to manage decomposition odor.
Really reduces it to its essence.
Yeah, exactly.
Anytime that someone has done a parody of Frankenstein, I don't think they've played up enough the decay odor. Someone should look into that.
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Exactly.
Dracula. Vampire advantage, immortality. Disadvantage, limited liquid diet.
That's great.
Oh, he's brutal on Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah, I don't think you like that one.
The reader should have the sense and sensibility to avoid reading this inferior Austen work.
Wow.
He could have been like a big
I feel lucky now that I've never had to read that.
book critic.
Yeah.
But the village people.
Okay, that was a good one. Let's look at the next one. This one is called How the Publishing Industry Failed Lolita by a channel called Man Carrying Thing, who, after a cursory look, there's already other videos that I'd like to react to with you guys, so we'll probably see that in the future. Now, I think I've mentioned that I haven't read Lolita, or I tried, but it didn't go very well for me. But I'd still like to learn more about it, so hopefully we'll learn something with this. Well, obviously we're going to learn, but hopefully we'll enjoy what we've learned.
I want pure colors, melting clouds, accurately drawn details, a sunburst above a receding road with the light reflected in furrows and ruts after rain. And no girls. This was Vladimir Nabokov's wish regarding the cover art for his most famous and most controversial novel. The difficulty of publishing a book like Lolita, not to mention the difficulty of how to market and sell the novel, has been consistent since its first publishing in 1955. The original publishers, Olympia Press, discarded the problem entirely by displaying nothing pictorial at all. Other editions of the novel took a similar approach. However, by 1962, matters changed as pop culture started to consume and interpret the novel in new ways. Stanley Kubrick's movie of Lolita marks a clear change in the attitude of book publishers.
Okay, I don't get this with publishing. If something, even back then, if it was hard to market, if they didn't know what to do with it, why did they publish it? I don't get that. Even whenever this was published, they must have had a ridiculously large slush pile. That's all I'm saying.
How did they ever make a movie of Lolita? Turns out they didn't. Though I don't want to give a complete summary of either book or movie, 1955's Lolita is a disturbing and deceptively written novel about a man, Humbert Humbert, preying upon and sexually abusing a 12-year-old child. The movie, on the other hand, is played as a dark comedy, bringing up Lolita's age to 16, and the abuse is only vaguely implied. This disconnect between movie Lolita and book Lolita is what fuels popular consciousness and continues to inform book marketing. From 1962 forward, the promotional image of Sue Lyon in the heart-shaped sunglasses taken by photographer Ben Stern is easily the most significant culprit. Once this image became associated with Lolita,
maybe that's what I wasn't getting. Now that I think of it, I did go into reading Lolita with kind of that in mind. I never saw the movie, but I was familiar with, I guess, the artwork, the idea of what a Lolita is. And when I was reading it, maybe I thought it was glorifying it, but it was everything around it that glorified it when the book was the only serious thing. Might have to rethink my whole perspective. The duck hands help, believe it or not.
it really didn't matter that it was a terribly inaccurate portrait. It became the image of Lolita, and it was ubiquitous. Book publishing took a cue from the movie. After the success of the film, Lolita had become a sex symbol. At the heart of all this seems to be the desire to make the sexual aspect of the novel more palatable. It's ironic that, in attempting to make aspects of the novel more palatable, film and book marketers were overtly sexualizing a child character. Designer Peter Mendelsohn argues that, in attempting to sell a book, designers must, not always, but sometimes, pander to a public that on occasion lacks the interpretive subtlety to parse literary subtext. That is to say, if the general reading public expects a schoolgirl or a schoolgirl.
Okay, there was a lot of bad images, but that last one, I'm not rewinding it. That last one we just saw was, like, it. When you look into the over-sexualization of sexual assault, you can't even blame it on the era. Over-sexualizing, like, denying that sexual assault was a thing, denying women who, or any person who's come forward, that might be a product of the past, but sexualizing it has never been a good thing to do, I don't think. Like, I don't ever see someone seeing an image like that and saying, oh, it was a product of the time. No, that was a product of a fucked up mind. And not fucked like mine. Mine's the good kind of fucked. That's the bad kind of fucked. There's a good fucked and a bad fucked.
Girl uniform on a Lolita jacket, then book buyers and booksellers will also be expecting a schoolgirl or a schoolgirl uniform on a Lolita jacket, and one can then reasonably assume that marketing departments and publishing houses will want them as well. In the end, going backward upriver towards its source, even editors begin to take their cues from misinformed readers at large. Dieter E. Zimmer's online gallery, Covering Lolita, where I found most of these book covers, offers a fascinating view of Lolita's publishing history, ending with contemporary publications. Still today, designers must contend with the question of how to depict a character who is seen entirely through the eyes of their abuser. In Lolita, the story of a cover girl, edited by John Bertram and Yuri Leving, this issue is posed to a number of artists. Unrestrained by commercial demands, the designs confront the subject in a number of ways, usually indirectly. Some artists focus on objects relating to Lolita, some focus on the language of the novel, however most never attempt to portray the character in a direct way. For example, this design plays with the idea that Lolita is impossible to portray on a book cover. Even the word is blurry and distant. The design that really stands out to me, however, is this.
Well, I'll see the one that stands out to him, but that blurry Lolita cover, I think if I would have picked up that one first, as opposed to the one I read was the old cover with the girl with the lollipop. So judge a book by its cover. It just Spider-Man all over this, you know.
For years, Lolita has had her identity stolen and transformed. She has been the lurid object on a book cover as seen through the eyes of her abuser. But in this design, what appears to be Humbert Humbert displayed in his monstrous reality is finally the subject. The name and persona of Lolita is just a manifestation of his sickness, and we finally see the true subject of the book. For whoever is responsible for marketing and selling the novel, publishing Lolita will always pose a problem. After all, it's an incredibly nuanced, incredibly deceptive narrative, and popular culture has not treated Lolita the character with much nuance. In some ways, it's almost a curse that such a novel should become so famous and to become subject to such misinterpretation.
Okay, yes. I am one of those people who did not do this book justice. I have to reread it. I feel very uncomfortable with myself right now. Anyway, I hope you learned something, and I hope you got a laugh with the first one and you learned something with the second one. I did both, and I'm really happy I watched that video. 4-minute video, and look how much we got out of it. That's pretty amazing. I hope you have a steady brain day, and I will see you next time. Bye.